Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. I nearly did a day trip today. Lawrence Hobbs Orchids has actually got an open weekend, so he's actually opening up his nursery on today and tomorrow. And I also want to do a trip to a bonsai nursery, and I was looking at how far apart Windy Bank and Lawrence Hobbs are. It could be done in a day. The problem is neither of them open during weekdays except by request. You have to book it so that there'll be somebody there basically. But both are open at weekends. And basically I didn't get going early enough. It's as simple as that. There's some problems this morning. I mean, when I looked out the window, the double gates were open, the security gates. And I looked back like 5 minutes and they were still open. They were stuck open. I thought they'd broken or something. I went out with my remote control to try and sort of force them open, close again. And they were just stuck. And, I heard some noise outside sort of thing. So the guy next door has been working away all week. He didn't get home till late yesterday afternoon. I would imagine he wanted a lie-in this morning. So I went out to see, and he said the shed door's blown open in the winds we had yesterday evening, and with the door open it blocks the sensor beam. So, you know, that basically holds the gate open. That's the point of the sensor beam. I didn't realise it was right over on the boundary like that. I knew where one side of it was because it's blatantly obvious, but I hadn't thought about that. So it was the shed door was blocking the sensor beam and holding the gates open. So shut the shed door and it was all working okay. So he's been working away all week, and he's been doing that for 3 weeks in a row now because it's a highly paid job that he needs. And unfortunately, all the other stuff he had booked in hasn't been done. So he said, I've now got to work weekends to try and catch up again. Which hopefully means the big sheet of glass that's on my side of the carport will get moved. Because he said that's been waiting for, I'm refurbishing a lady's flat, starting with the bathroom, which is what that glass is for. It's the shower screen. But he hasn't been able to get round there, so hopefully that will be gone. Then I can get the car put away. I can get it cleaned, go somewhere, get it properly cleaned, and then put it under cover and stop all the muck off of that oak tree coming down on it. Problems in here. The oncidium with the bright yellow blooms on, the blooms were starting to drop, so I went over to pick up the dead ones that had fallen down, and they're covered in tiny little aphids, white aphids, not scale, they're aphids, whitefly. But they weren't whitefly either, because whitefly they're like little triangles, they're like little white triangles whizzing about. So these were a type of aphid basically, and they'd left a sticky honeydew on the plant. So basically I've taken the spikes off, put them outside. I don't need to worry about things like aphids and that in a garden like this. It's full of birds, they'll just get eaten. But what I did notice is as I cut the spike off, that's not good, is it? So that's not only a separate plant, well, I think it's a separate plant, but that can't have many roots on it, can it? So this is not a well-rooted plant at all. Now these are all nice plumped up bulbs, but I think, and this one's got its new growth starting, that's good, because I think first thing is it's highly likely to be two separate plants, and if one of the bulbs is growing a new growth that was in bloom, then the other one will as well, because it's probably two plants. But it's a plant with a name, so it's got to be worth looking after. But so I gave it a spray with the insecticide, the systemic. I wiped off most of them that were on the leaves, but I thought we'd give it a spray as well. But I'm now going to have to repot that because that is not well rooted at all, and I'm not sure there'll be many roots on it either. Oh, I've got itchy eye. Right. So that'll have to be done. I'll do that. I think I'll probably do that in a minute on the grounds that, in fact, I'll probably add it on to the end of this video, as it's only one plant. The other thing I was going to say is that one of the rescue cattleyas has opened some blooms, And having opened some blooms, we now know that this is the one with the strange name. I'll do a pop-up, but it's Chantilly Lace Twinkle. And these are really attractive blooms, these really are. I mean, this is the whole reason I got this in the first place, is that these blooms are just so attractive. Delicately attractive. But it's a strange plant, strange bloom, because you've got the lip and the petals have one set of patterning, and the sepals haven't got any of it. All they've got is some veining. That's unusual for Cattleya types. But anyway, so that's it's a rescue. It's grown some roots, it's managed to push up a new growth and managed to bloom it. So hopefully this one is now well on its way to a decent recovery. That's one. There are others. And what I thought I'd do is to give you forewarning so that you don't have to rush to see my Sunday chat if it's something that doesn't interest you much, is I thought we'd have a look at the Cattleya types, not the mounted ones, the ones that are in pots, the ones that had the root damage, or most of them had the root damage. We'll have a look at those and just basically how well are they recovering, if at all. Because they are like a set, and they have had a serious problem in the past, that some are taking an awful long time to get over, and others are sort of pushing on quite nicely now. So we'll have a look at those as part of the Sunday chat tomorrow. And yeah, I'll cut this one off. Other problems in here. This dendrobium looks like it's died. The only new growth it had was that's failed, and so have the little new roots. So I think that one's dead. So that's one gone. I haven't had that one long either. So that's a shame. Reason unknown, as usual. You know, some plants just don't like where they are and don't do very well as a consequence. You know, it's simple as that. The two dendrobiums that we tried to rescue that were going downhill fast, this is one of them. It's still going downhill fast. I don't think that is going to make it. Even the new roots that were there have gone. So I think that one's gone as well. That had a name. And my Kaneko over here, I'm not quite sure what this is doing. This is my guide. This is the only real green on here. There is a new these two canes have got growing tips on them. It's a matter of watching those to see if they continue to grow or if they stall. And also this bit of greenery here again, it's got a growing tip, but it's not showing any signs of life at the base. So but there again, it's only just been repotted, so we don't quite know what's going to happen with that one, but I'm pretty sure that one's had it. That one's gone. It's a shame. I'll have a job to get that again. And that was I loved the blooms on that. Lovely, long-lasting, typical black hair type blooms. Yeah, so yeah, a few disasters. And the other thing I've still got to do, I repotted all my twinkle types. You saw the video. Well, I hope you did. And I put them on the kitchen windowsill. Basically, it's getting quite chilly out here at nights now, and I thought just to give them a little boost to hopefully help get over the shock of the repot. Coming off a mount and going in a pot is quite an upheaval. I thought we'll put them on the kitchen windowsill for a bit, where they get a bit of extra heat and it doesn't get anywhere near as cold at night, just for a while. And while I was putting my 6 pots out on the kitchen windowsill, I had a look round and I thought, and where the hell are they going to go when they come out here? Because they were mounts, they were on the racks. And several things that have been on racks recently have come out and gone on pots. I mean, those 2 dendrobiums I've just looked at, those were mounted, they're now in pots. The 6 twinkles were mounted, they're now in pots. So suddenly I'm getting quite a lot of space on the hangers. The shelves are starting to get full. Plus I've still got to think about what I'm going to do with these 2 cymbidiums on the floor. I don't really want them on the floor all the time. I keep knocking against the leaves, going to and from the door and that, letting the cats in and out. I'd rather, and I mean, they're going to be in bloom down the line a bit. They've both got spikes coming on. And I don't really want the spikes down there. I want them up here like this one. So I'm going to have to rearrange some stuff. I'm not quite sure what yet. I mean, Hannah's fowls, they're not permanently here. Although with the way she was saying about her energy costs, she lives in a housing association flat, and they have conditions when you take them on. One of those conditions is that you have prepay meters, or meter in her case, because she hasn't got gas, it's just electric. So she has to put money on a card basically, and then put the card in the meter, and it puts it in credit, if you see what I mean, and then it uses it up. And guess what? Everybody was told, go and top your meter up before the price rise today. Get as much credit as you can, and that credit will be at the old price. No, it won't. Another con. Another way of screwing people for money, the people who've least got the money in the first place. As the meter uses a unit of electricity, it charges it at the price of the day. So it doesn't matter how much credit was put on the meter yesterday, the units that get used today will be at the new price. It's just another way of conning those with the least ability to be able to afford it. It's just all wrong. Everything's going wrong in this flipping country at the moment. Oh, I think my idea, 4 or 5 years ago, I was seriously thinking about going to Spain. When we were still in the EU, and it was easy to do. You know, it's not now. Going to Spain now, for me, wouldn't be allowed, because you have to justify an annual income to be able to go there. For a start, you can't just go there and then start sponging off their state. You have to show that you can afford to be there. So, yes, and I probably wouldn't have enough income to justify emigrating out there now, so that's off the cards. So I'm stuck here, whether I like it or not. I chatted to the guy about the gardening bloke, because he gave me the number of his gardening bloke. He wants some work done as well, so he suggested it might be an idea to get him to come for the day, like, and do both sets of gardens in one hit. You know, and sort of one load to clear up and get away. And when I said about what I wanted doing, he said it sounds like he ought to come and have a look to work out, you know, how he's going to go about it and what he's going to do. So getting the garden organised will be coming soon, I hope. Now that the guy next door is not working away all the time, I'll see him more frequently, sort of thing, and perhaps we can get something organised with the gardening guy. See, the problem I've got is that with the wisteria is deciduous. Now, it would be a lot easier to clear it out after the leaves have fallen off, wouldn't it? But then I've got all the dead leaves all over the garden, haven't I? Yeah? So I'd rather perhaps pay a little bit extra and get the greenery taken away before it all dumps all over the garden. I'm already going to get the greenery off of that huge oak tree all over the blinking garden again. But yeah, what I'm looking forward to is those two giant laurels. I mean, that laurel's now so big you can't even see the other one because it's behind it. That's coming down to ground level. I want that gone. It'll shoot out again. They're vigorous. It's not going to die. And then the bits that shoot out, I can keep control of and stop it getting that big ever again. And it's the same with a lot of this stuff up here. It will be a shame, but it's highly likely I'm going to bring that down to a level that I can look after, which will be a little bit above the shed. It doesn't need to be that tall. It just doesn't. And then I will be able to prune it then. Fortunately, that does mean all those berries are going to go, and the birds are eating those at the moment. There's a lot of them. It's had a good crop this year. So it'd be a shame, you know, to deprive the birds of those, but I need the garden sorted, so it's got to be done. And then obviously it'll bloom again next year, and it'll bloom lower down so that when the birds come in, you can see them better. But to get all that top growth gone, and the bamboo, I can't cut the top of the bamboo off. I don't know what it would do to the bamboo, whether it would kill it or not. You've got to go careful with those. But this spiky thing with the berries on, that can come off, you know, just above the top of the fence, basically. And then the maple tree, if it's not dead because the leaves have died, will stick out over the top and be a nice looking tree over the top of the hedge, as opposed to buried within it. Anyway, we've got to get the bloke here. I mean, all these low down bushes, I can do all this, you know, I can do all that. That's all just pair of shears or pair of secateurs. It's all that, a lot of it is down at ground level. So, you know, it's just getting all this tall stuff sorted out. Especially this lot over here. I mean, that evergreen from next door, you know, I mean, that's almost to the windowsill now. That's got to go right back to the fence that way. I can't take the height off too much. I've got to match the height of next door's hedge. It belongs to them. I've got permission to take it back to the fence, and I'll take the height to match the height that they've got next door, so that their, you know, their hedge will look an awful lot tidier from their side then, because they can't get at all this. It's all in my garden. And then all these little bushes round here, they'll be easy enough for me to do. Get all this lot swept up, tidied. Get the tubs that aren't in use because they just got dumped anywhere. Most of them are full of weeds. Get all those tidied up, put somewhere, and next year they'll have some nice plants in with some nice colour, specifically aimed at butterflies and bees. Well, and hoverflies, we mustn't forget them. So yeah, a lot of work to do, but I need that initial clear out done. Hopefully get that organised soon now. And yeah, I'm going to get on and repot that. I'll tag that on the end because that's only a matter of getting it out of the pot and see what we've got. I doubt if we've got much. I suspect there'll be hardly any roots, and I'll have to end up putting it in a pot and staking it. But I'll get on and do it. Then that's one job out of the way. And then we'll have our Sunday chat tomorrow, and we'll go from there. I have to think up some ideas on a postcard, please. Trouble is, it is sort of getting to that time of year. I've got lots of spikes coming, but they're not ready to open their new blooms yet, because it's nice to sort of show new blooms that have just opened. Well, I haven't got anything at the moment. I mean, this is going to be, you know, for those that haven't seen this in bloom before, because it missed a year, this is quite exciting. These blooms are quite stunning when they come out of the Vanda. So we've got that to look forward to. But not yet. It might look like it's not far off blooming, you know. Oh, well, we can see all the buds and everything. Yeah, you have to bear in mind the blooms on this thing are about 5 inches across. The buds need to get an awful lot bigger. But it's a strange, I don't know whether all Vandas do it, but this one does. The blooms open, and over the next 2 to 3 weeks, the blooms grow. So they get bigger and bigger for a few weeks until they reach their full size. So, you know, they carry on growing after they've opened, which is unusual in the orchid world. So, right, well, I'm going to get myself some breakfast and then get on with this repot. I haven't got any watering to do today. I did the mounts yesterday and the cooler shady a lot, and the other pots were done relatively recently. So, yeah. I haven't noticed a major difference. The dehumidifier, suck it out Sam, that I put that on like during the evening before it gets dark, and set that up for the night. And I've got that set to 70. So as the humidity rises, when it reaches 73, it kicks on and brings it down to 67 and then kicks off again. And I get about half a tank of water overnight. But except for on the excessively cold nights, which we have had a couple, it stops the heater coming on. So it is working quite well. And, you know, I mean, I've got sensible humidity now. You know, 65 at heading up towards 18 degrees. I'm quite happy with that. And yeah, and the two units that measure temperature in here both agree at long last. I've got two that actually agree with each other. So yeah, so you know, those that suggested a dehumidifier, it really is doing the job. And I haven't seen any new mould anywhere, not either on the building, on the shelving, or on the plants. It seems to have stopped it dead. Part of that will be the air cleaner. Clean it up, Claire. Oh dear. There's something about nicknames, you know. Everything's got to have a nickname. I presume I've got one. Yeah, careful. But you see, some people automatically, when they hear the word Roger, they think of Roger the Dodger. Well, I'd like to use both of those words in context, because one of them's got a D in the middle of it and the other one hasn't. And it annoys me. You know, my channel name is Roger's Orchids, with Roger written by me. I can spell my own name. I know what I'm doing. I'm good at that. Yeah? Well, why would you spell it some different in a comment when it's right under your nose? You know. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, it hasn't got a D in it. Like when somebody asks, how do you spell Roger? I say, well, R-O-G-E-R, because I don't dodge and I don't lodge. So there's no D in it. Anyway, let's get some stuff done today. Don't feel like doing much today, quite honestly. But I'll have to go around the shop, out of milk again. Always the way, the milk runs out a few days before my shopping's due to arrive. Perhaps I should get extra. So it doesn't keep forever, does it? Right, I will see you tomorrow for the Sunday chat, and we'll have a look at the potted cattleyas, the holy clay pots and others, because there are rescue cattleyas in pots like this one that got put in these baskets so that I could totally drown them, but they would dry even quicker. So that was the idea with those, and we'll get on and get that repotted and see if we've actually got any roots at all. The fact that it's not dehydrated, there must be something going on in the pot, or those bulbs would have started to desiccate by now, I'd have thought. So anyway, we'll get on with it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. And the bit on the end. There's always a bit on the end. I took the bull by the horns this morning and upgraded the laptop to Windows 11. Now last time I did a major upgrade on the laptop, it completely screwed it up. So I've been sitting there biting my nails watching it run, and it just went through. It just sailed through smoothly, rebooted and everything, and I've tried all of the software that I've loaded on the laptop, things like, you know, my photo editor, the actual video production software, Zoom, video player, all the software that I use. I've tried it all out and it all still works, because there have been some warning shots saying that some software just doesn't work under Windows 11 without fiddling. You have to mess and change settings and things, but everything I've got loaded at the moment works fine. So that's a bonus. And the one thing I have noticed is that my Google, my internet connection as such, but the actual software I'm using, not the connection itself, that hasn't changed, is faster. Pictures, videos, things are loading faster. So there is some gain, you know. It's not all just the same, and you know, changing some of the colours, you know, big deal. Could have done that myself. But yeah, it's been smooth. It's gone okay. So far so good. But it was a little bit tentative, because I've had problems in the past, changing the version of Windows, and a lot of the time it doesn't go smoothly, whereas this one's gone through quite nicely. So about time they got it right. After all the years they've been trying to do these sorts of things, it's about time they got one right. Or there are a few niggles with it, but they don't affect me, so I don't care. If you're going to do odd things, then you know, so be it. Anyway, all my stuff seems to work okay, so now we can go and process this video and see if that works okay. See you next time.